Hi, everyone. This is Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to write a change-inspiring book. What I would love to do before we actually start is to have somebody type into the chat pane and let me know if you can hear me and if you can see my screen, which says how to write a change-inspiring book. That way I'll know my technology is working and I can just keep moving forward. So if somebody be kind enough to type that into the chat, tell me whether you can see and hear, that would be awesome. I'm waiting to see. Welcome Tammy and Venus and Lisa and Lynn and Shelly and Judy. Angel. Yes, I can see and hear. And Roger, I can see and hear you. Awesome. Great. Then we're going to just get going. So welcome everyone. And here we go. Hi, I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to write a change-inspiring book. And I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite topics, and to be honest, I'm just about to start working on a book related to this topic. So I'm really, really excited to bring you this information. So let's get going. I want to make sure everyone's in the right place. So let me know whether you want to write a book that inspires the change you want to see in the world. If you do, then you're in the right place. Do you want to make a positive and meaningful difference with your words? If you do, you're in the right place. So type yes in there if you think you're in the right place, so that I know that I'm giving you the information that you asked for. Okay, and then we'll just keep moving. Absolutely, says Angel. Awesome. Yes, says Jan. Great. All right, so let's keep moving on. You want to author change. That's what you're telling me, right? You want to author change. So for those who are here for that, let's first talk about what is an author of change. So what exactly do I mean by that? It's a term that I use for transformational authors. So authors of change or transformational writers or authors write books that inspire others to change on some level. That's why we're talking today about how to write a change-inspiring book. So we want to inspire others to change in some way. Also, authors of change often teach what they need to learn or are learning. Oh, I love that lesson that we should teach what we need to learn. It helps us learn it on a deeper level, and it gives us the permission to teach even when we're in the midst of learning something, but we're really excited about it. Also, authors of change often share what they've learned. So maybe they aren't, they don't need to learn something and they aren't in the process of learning it. They've actually learned it already. And so they can share what they've learned. They also inspire from their experience. Authors of change are motivational, inspirational. Their stories, their experience, all of that are ways for other people to feel compelled to make change. And they motivate. So I said inspire and motivate. And yes, they motivate from their expertise, from their life experience, from all of that. And sometimes they partner with experts to help them author change, because if they don't think they're an expert or they don't feel like they have a big enough platform or audience, then sometimes they bring in other experts to help them with the change they want to inspire. So I want to make a promise to you here as we start. You're going to learn what constitutes a change-inspiring book, the qualities shared by transformational books, the types of books that inspire change, the voice used by transformational authors, the characteristics exhibited by authors of change, the 3 steps to become an author of change, how to start writing your change-inspiring book, and how to become an author of change. Now, that's a lot of promises, but if I deliver on those promises, I hope you'll give me 5 minutes or maybe 10 tops to talk to you about a way that you can inspire change. So this is I'm going to take just a little bit of time before the Q&A. If you think I have delivered on my promises, then I will tell you about that, and then we'll do the Q&A. So I'm not sure whether my offer showed up. So if somebody wants to actually, there it is. If somebody wants to check out what I'm going to talk about before, because you have to leave earlier, I'm going to put the link to that in the chat pane now. So hopefully you all can see that, okay? All right, so let's keep moving. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Okay, so what is a change-inspiring book? The following books were influential in changing many people's lives and starting movements large and small, such as Walden by Henry David Thoreau, which was called An Experiment in Simple Living. And it did inspire a lot of people to live more simply. A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose by Eckhart Tolle, a little bit newer book. What it says on the back cover is that transcending our ego-based state of consciousness is not only essential to personal happiness, but also the key to ending conflict and suffering throughout the world. And that was the purpose of that book, was to end conflict and suffering. The Hope, A Guide to Sacred Activism by Andrew Harvey, was a global initiative designed to save the world from its downward spiral of greed, pain, and self-destruction. And what Harvey just wanted to do was to start small groups of people who were supporting each other in sacred activism. You may not think of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron as a change-inspiring book, but it was. The book links creativity to spirituality by showing how to connect with the creative energies of the universe, and has, it says here in the 4 years, because my book was very old and I was taking this off the back cover, since its publication spawned a remarkable number of support groups for artists dedicated to practicing and the exercises it contains. But I bet many of you do morning pages, which is what Julia Cameron was talking about in the book, The Artist's Way. You may not know about Cammie Walker, who wrote 29 Gifts, How a Month of Giving Can Change Your Life. But Cammie's, she started this movement to give 29 gifts in 29 days because she did it and it improved her health. I'm trying to remember, I think she had MS. So as the back of the book says, by day 29, not only had Walker's health and happiness improved, but she had created a worldwide giving movement. 29 Gifts shows how a simple daily practice of altruism can dramatically alter your outlook on the world. And lots of people, including me, have given this book and have done the 29 gifts in 29 days. Of course, there's an inconvenient truth, The Planetary Emergency of Global Warming and What We Can Do About It by Al Gore. And that book was described by the New York Times as one which could push awareness of global warming to a real tipping point. And I really think that it did that. But there are more change-inspiring books, more transformational books. Think back in history to Common Sense, The Communist Manifesto, Uncle Tom's Cabin, The Prince, and more recently, The Four Agreements, Silent Spring, Eating Animals, Rules for Radicals, Half the Sky. All these books have inspired change, including the book The Secret, which talked about the law of attraction. Not that there weren't other books out there on the topic, but it catapulted the idea of the law of attraction into worldwide consciousness and changed a lot of people's lives. So what qualities do change-inspiring books share? First of all, they move readers to take action. They also hit readers on an emotional level. So when you actually connect with your readers on an emotional level, they're more likely to take action, okay? And whatever you're doing in your change-inspiring book, you have to be moving people to do what you're asking them to do, to take on the change. And so they move readers to action, and they more often than not do that by hitting them on an emotional level. These books also contain the author's passion. The authors are passionate about the change they want to inspire, and that comes across in every page of the book. They also contain the author's purpose or mission. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but you probably feel like you have a purpose with your book or in your life to create change, and that comes across in a change-inspiring book. Again, on every page, the book is carrying out the author's purpose as well as its purpose, which dovetails. Number 5, a change-inspiring book shares, it inspires readers in some way. So there has to be something about it that's inspiring people to do something differently. If it doesn't do that, then the book is not going to inspire change at all, because obviously it's not inspirational to them. It also contains the author's message. So you have this passion and purpose and a mission, but you have to know exactly what your message is to your readers and to the world. And that's coming across in the book. Change-inspiring books also showcase the author's authentic voice. So most of these books really, and we're going to talk about voice a bit later, but the author comes across very authentically, and that is compelling to the reader. It does strike them on an emotional level. And because the author is authentic, the passion and purpose come through, and that's what inspires the change. These books tend to offer hope or inspiration. They may point out a problem or a situation that needs to be resolved, but they're offering hope or inspiration on how to do that. Additionally, number 8, change-inspiring books offer a unique angle on a subject. So you can't just write the same old book. Nobody's going to be inspired or motivated by it. You have to, because they could read the other books instead, and they probably have, because those books have been published already. So when you decide to write and publish a change-inspiring book, you need to take a unique angle on the subject, something that hasn't been done before, a new solution, a new answer, something along those lines. Number 9, change-inspiring books answer questions or provide solutions that people want, need, or search for. So really, you have to think about you have to know your target audience, your target market, and then you have to answer their questions, provide solutions to their problems. Or you're providing answers and solutions for communities, for organizations, for the world at large. A change-inspiring book also fills a need in the market. So you have to know, as I said, what your readers want, what your audience wants, but you also have to know how to fill a spot on the bookstore shelf. So that means you need to know how to both target your readers and the places where your books will be sold, like bookstores, with a book that is unique and necessary. It has to be what people are wanting, needing, searching for. And these books, change-inspiring books, transformational books, add value to lives and to the world. If you're not providing some kind of benefit, then you're not going to inspire change. A lot of times, change-inspiring books are based on concrete data. So that means, that you're looking at the science behind global warming, for instance, and you're then going from there to provide the solutions. They also offer convincing arguments. So you have to have a convincing argument why somebody should change. Change is seen as not easy, as uncomfortable, all those things. And so most people don't want to change. So you have to find a way to actually offer a convincing argument for doing something differently. Additionally, change-inspiring books feature an author's expert status or authority, or they bring in experts to write the book. So I alluded to this earlier. So basically, your expert status or authority, or those are the people that you interview or bring in to write your foreword or to write chapters or whatever, this is going to help inspire people to change because it gives your book credibility. Okay, so on to the type of books that inspire change. What books do transform lives and transform the world? Novels can do this. There are a lot of novels out there now that are written in a way that inspires people to do things differently, maybe to take a more green view on things or in their actions. There are parables that are written as novels. I often talk about my mentor, Brendan Burchard's book, Life Golden Ticket, which inspires personal change. So take a look out there at the different novels, and you'll see that that there are a lot of them out there. The Way of the Peaceful Warrior was also another one that inspired personal change. So novels and fiction can definitely be a way to inspire change. Of course, nonfiction is. Lots of change-inspiring books, transformational books are grounded in nonfiction. That's the genre that they come out of. And it's an easy place to do this because you have the ability to talk about facts and figures and data and research, and then to provide your expertise, your knowledge, and your solutions and answers. Memoir, however, reads like a novel, but it is nonfiction. And there are lots of memoirs out there that are quite inspirational. And there are too many to list. Memoir can definitely be inspirational because it's not only showing your life experience, but your life story. And for many people, reading a life story is more inspiring than something else. You can write an ebook, or you can do a print book. Doesn't matter. The format is not as important as the content. It can be a self-published book. I know that most of you who filled out my survey said that you wanted to self-publish. So self-publishing is definitely a way to go, especially if you're going to be speaking, because then your credibility is enhanced by being on the stage speaking, and then you can sell your book at the back of the room. If you self-publish, you need to get your book out there in other ways because it probably won't be in the bookstore. So think about that. Traditionally published books tend to have a little bit more credibility and clout because somebody's put money behind you, but that doesn't, and they get distributed into bookstores typically, but that doesn't mean that you can't succeed with a change-inspiring book if you're self-published, especially if you've created a following. So I talked about traditionally published books and blog books. So I'm a big believer in using your blog to author change. I think that you can probably impact, or I know that I have impacted more people via my blog than my books. And I think that it's a great place to build a community and to become visible and to foster your movement. So think about blogging or blogging books. So what books, so what is the voice used by these authors? Books that inspire change have a very similar voice. If you go out and take a look at what's being written, you'll notice that these books have a particular narrative voice, even the nonfiction. So I want you to think about that as you start to write your book. And I know some of you have already started writing your book, actually a lot of you. So some of the things I'm going to tell you today are things you need to go back and kind of do as foundational work to make sure your books succeed, even though you've started. So many change-inspiring books have a very inviting voice. The author is trying to invite readers into their world, into their perceptions, so that they can actually invite them to change. So this inviting voice is very important when you want to get people on board with the change you want to inspire. Often the book's voice, the author's voice is very personal. That also is inspiring and motivational and touches on an emotional level. Typically, the narrative voice is relatable, so it's a voice that readers can relate to. So they're not coming across as the big expert or authority, even though they may have expertise and authority, but they are coming across as, just like you. The author makes it sound like, I was there, I've been there, done that, and therefore the readers can relate. They also, as I mentioned, have a very authentic voice. So there's no hiding. There's lots of transparency in these books. The passion of the author comes across also in the pages of the book. So this is the narrative voice carries that passion. It's also very common, as I mentioned earlier, for books that inspire change to have a narrative voice that's authoritative, but not so authoritative that it isn't personal, relatable, or authentic and passionate and inviting. Now, let's talk about the people behind these books, the actual authors, the writers. What characteristics do authors of change share? Transformational authors have expert status or authority, which I've already mentioned very often. They are experts or authorities, but don't think that just because you don't have a resume that says you're an expert, that you're not an expert. I wasn't the expert on blogging books, which, by the way, doesn't sound very inspirational, but I get emails all the time from people telling me how I inspired them to write a book on their blog. So I inspired some sort of change in the publishing world. Anyway, I wasn't the expert on blogging books, but I began blogging and I became the expert on it. So don't think that you don't have expert status or authority. You do. Authors of change, those who are writing these transformational, change-inspiring books, have convincing arguments. So this is one of the characteristics is that they are very confident. They have a lot of self-confidence in their knowledge and their perspective on a problem or a question or, a situation. And so they are able to give convincing arguments. They're persuasive. They tend to rely on concrete data. So that data could be coming from your life experience. It doesn't matter, but they are able to show how something works. Authors of change have life experience. As I said, you may not have expert status or some kind of credentials behind your name, but you have life experience, and that is enough to inspire change. So this is one of the characteristics that authors of change almost always have, is life experience. And they tend to have inspiring stories, and those are shared in their books. And they may be their own stories or other people's stories, but those stories are a way to be relatable. They're a way to be personal, strike on an emotional level. And memoirs in particular, these tend to be inspiring stories. Authors of change have passion. They're very passionate people. They're passionate about the change they want to inspire. They are passionate about fulfilling their purpose and potential. They're passionate about making the world a better place, even if it's life by life, person by person, organization by organization. And they have a purpose, and we're going to talk more about that, but they have a clear purpose of why they're doing this, and their book tends to share that purpose, their big why. So let's talk about purpose for a minute. It's important for you to know what your purpose is with your book, what purpose it's going to, it has, what it's going to accomplish, what its goal is, and why that's important. But this should correspond with your sense of purpose or mission. Authors of change feel a sense of purpose or mission, a real call to create change via writing. They feel called to do this. So if you feel called to write this book, to make a difference in the world via your book, then start with a mission statement. Very important to have a mission statement or a purpose statement of why you're doing what you're doing. Connect emotionally to the reason why you want to write this book, why you want to inspire this change, start your movement, whatever it is, and then make sure that your book shares that purpose. Okay, so I said that I would tell you 3 steps to becoming an author of change, and that's what I'd like to move into now. As I do see that there are 3 distinct steps to becoming an author of change, and a successful one, because you want to be successful, otherwise your books are not getting read and you won't inspire change. So let's take a look at the first step, which is to be an author of change in your life. Change starts with you. If you can't inspire change, how are you going to inspire change in the lives of others? So to write about change, you must be intimate with change. You must have either read lots of books on how people change, or you need to have gone through a lot of change yourself. In some way, change must be a big part of your life. You also need to embrace change. Most people do not embrace change. They run away from it. They're scared of it. It makes them uncomfortable. But if you want to be an author of change, you need to embrace change. It needs to be your friend. It needs to be something you love. I have somebody in one of my coaching programs right now who said, I love change. She scored herself like a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of enjoying change. And you have to inspire change. So it's important for you to be clear that you want to inspire change. And I want you to look back over your life and see whether, in general, you tend to do that naturally. That you tell people about things and you encourage them to change and you support them to change. And people are inspired by your story to change. Take a look at that. And if that's not happening, you need to work on that. And you have to be willing to change, which goes along with embracing change. So there are a lot of things that you have to do to be a successful author, as well as an author of change, that are going to require you to take on things and to change your attitude, change how you do things in order to create a successful book and inspire change. So you have to be willing to do that. So you have to evaluate your level of willingness to change and to do what's necessary. And you need to understand how to change. Like I said, there are lots of books out there about change. Educate yourself on how to inspire change. How do people change? Because when you know how people change, you're going to be able to help them change. You need to become conscious of your relationship to change. And that is the underlying message here, is be conscious of your relationship to change and your ability to change. That's the foundation for inspiring change. Now, I mentioned that there are lots of things you might have to do, and you have to be willing to do them. And this has to do with embracing change and that willingness to change yourself. And you can't just be a writer if you want to inspire change and be an author of change. You can't be just a writer if you want to be a successful author in any way, shape, or form. There are tons of hats you have to wear if you want to succeed as a writer and an author. So you cannot just be a writer. You have to also be a community builder, meaning building community around your cause. This is what we call creating a movement. But even if you don't want to create a movement, you need to have a community around you to help your book succeed. You need to be a reader engagement expert. So how are you going to get readers involved with your book? How are you going to get them involved with your blog? You want to get them sharing. If you want to create change in the world, you need to get people sharing about your book. So engagement from readers is enormously important. And a lot of that has to do also with social media, which begins to talk about promotion. So you need to be a good promoter. You need to begin promoting your book from the day you get the idea. Seth Godin says 3 years before the book is published, you need to start promoting it and building author platform. I say it's from the moment you get the idea. And this is all the more important if you want to inspire change. You need to be a public relations agent. You're going to be writing press releases and looking for opportunities opportunities to speak and to get on the radio and all of that. You need to handle that or hire someone. And you need to be an inspirer of action. You need to be a change agent. When you role model change, it's easier to inspire change. And you need to be a speaker, a professional speaker, because one of the best ways to inspire change is to get out there and to get in front of your readers, get in front of the people who you want to have take up your cause and speak to them face to face. By the way, there are a lot of ways to do that without showing up in a room these days. You could do live Facebook Live, you could do live webinars, all kinds of things. You need to be a good business person, and I'm going to get into that in step 3. But you really do need to realize publishing is a business and be a good business person. And you need to be a content expert, not only the content that goes in your book, the content that goes on your blog, the content that goes on social media, the content that goes out in press releases, the content that goes out in your emails, all so important. And you need to be a leader. I mentioned being a role model, very important to be able to inspire others by leading them. So you need to embody the change that you want to put forth in your book and be able to lead your movement. Okay, step number 2 is to author change in the world. Now, you might think that sounds like exactly what you know how to do, but let me go into some detail here. You basically need, I mentioned community. You need to create a community while you write your book or book proposal. So if you're going to go the traditional publishing route, you're probably going to be writing a book proposal. But you need to be creating a community around you and your book from the very beginning, as I said, from the time you get your idea. That means you're building what we call author platform, a foundation of avid readers ready to buy your book. But in your case, it's not just about buying the book. It's a foundation of avid people who want to take on your change, right? So you need to have these people, and you need to know how to reach them. You need to know how to reach your audience, whether that's through social media or speaking or articles or Facebook Live or whatever it is, or radio. You need to know where these people are, and so that you can reach them and get them involved in your movement. You also need to clarify your idea, because you want to be able to tell somebody in less than a minute what your book is about, what the changes you want to inspire, and why. People, when somebody says to you, "What's your book about?" that's not what they mean. What they mean is, "What's in it for me?" They want to know the benefit or value that you can give them. And when you're inspiring change, it's all the more important that they get the value of changing and why you want them to do that. So you need to clarify your idea and come up with a pitch or an elevator speech that's very clear. It's also going to help you write your book. You want to test market your idea, and creating community while you write helps you do that. You can be blogging it. You could be doing videos on it, all kinds of things you could be doing. You could have meetup groups or whatever, where you're talking about this change and your ideas on how to change. And the community is going to give you feedback as to whether this is working for you. So really important to have community so that you can test market your idea. Your community is going to ensure you and your book succeed. These are the people who will take on the change. These are the people who will buy your book, share about the book. You need community. So let's go a little deeper into that, because change really is created with community. A book is not community, but it can create one. So the book itself is just a book, but it can gather people around it in study groups or via sharing. Maybe people want to get together in a book group and talk about it. You actually are the one who creates the community, though. You don't even need the book really to start a movement. The book is going to help you reach farther, but you are the one who creates community. So I'm going to go back to Cammie Walker for a minute as an example, because she had never written a book. She had an idea. She showed up at the San Francisco Writers Conference, didn't have a book proposal, but she landed an agent who really believed in her, and she had to scramble. She didn't even have any of her memoir written. So here's what she did do, though. She created a forum and an organization. And if you go to her site, you will see that she has this 29-day giving challenge, and people are there in the forum talking about doing the 29 days of giving. So she had that, and she had an organization for, not a website. She actually created an organization, and there were people who were members. And so she already had community, and that made it much easier for her to not only land a traditional publishing deal, but to succeed with her book, because she already had people talking about it and who were followers and who were doing the giving challenge, and very important. So check out authors online who have social media presences and blogs and forums and membership sites and see what they're doing, because they're creating community. Okay. I want you to reframe promotion, because most authors don't want to promote. I want you to reframe it into community building. Authors of change need platform, actually, more than most authors. And platform, I always talk about it as pre-promotion of your book, because it's that gathering or attracting of fans and followers who will buy your book and take on your change. So what is platform? I've mentioned it a bunch of times. Author platform is created with visibility, reach, authority, and influence. I called it the foundation of, a foundation of avid readers for your book, or people who want to take on your movement. But it's created with visibility first, which is you getting out there and being visible to your target market. So that could be, as I said, with blogging or with social media or with speaking or writing for publications, any number of things, but you want to get in front of them so that they know who you are. Then it comes with reach. Reach is actually related to engagement. It's how far what you say travels. So if you share a blog post that has to do with the change you want to inspire, and it is commented on, but more than that, shared by others, that's reach, because what you've written, you shared it to social media, but only to the people who follow you. When somebody who follows you shares it, again, it's being shared to their audience, to their followers who you don't know. So it's going beyond your little circle, going outside of it to another circle. I often talk about it as when I'm at a conference speaking and somebody's tweeting what I say, it is leaving what I say has left the room and has been shared with a bunch of people that I don't know. That's reach. Authority could be your credentials, could be your resume, your experience, your expertise. But authority also can be built with visibility and reach. So for instance, as I said, I was not the authority or the expert on blogging books, but by blogging a book for 5 months and then continuing that blog, I became known as the world's leading authority on blogging books and also on book marketing, which I never got, but anyway, I became an authority. So visibility and reach are going to give you authority if you don't have it in some other way. Just start writing and putting your work out there and commenting and telling people about the change you want to inspire. I have a client who she lost a bunch of weight. She doesn't, she has no other authority other than her life experience. And the things she did were not even things she created. They were other people's processes, but yet they worked for her, and she is talking about it and writing about it and has developed a quite large following. So think about that. You have authority, you can build authority. And then influence. When you have visibility, reach, authority, you have influence. And influence is important, not because you want to be, the person who's trying to pressure somebody into change, but because you want to persuade them in a positive way to take on your change. And that includes influencing them, persuading them to buy your book. So when you have influence in a target market with your audience and you say, my book just came out, please buy it, people are listening and they're doing what you say. If you don't have influence, nobody is going to take on your change. So platform is built with these 4 elements. Okay. Additionally, as you're building your platform, you can use traditional media, you can use social media, you can use podcasts and video, you can use personal and professional connections. All of this is going to help you build your platform. So why do authors of change need communities so much? Because I really believe they need them more than other types of authors. Your community, as I said, is your platform, and it's your reach and your visibility, and it creates the potential to sell books, which means your books get read. It provides opportunities to impact your market, and it gives you a tool to fulfill your purpose, to actually create change. This is why I'm harping on it. If you want to create change, you have to have communities, you have to have platform. And the larger your platform, the greater your potential ability to author change. I talked several times, I mentioned building community first. Why? The members of your community are going to help promote your book. They're going to buy your books. They're going to spread your message, adopt your proposed change, join your cause or movement, and become advocates for your change. And that's going to help you promote and sell books. You need them. They are the people who will help carry your change out into the world. Okay, step number 3, author of a change-inspiring book. So now you are going to actually write your book and publish it. So how do you do that? How do you write your transformational book? You're going to start with that pitch I talked about, the elevator speech. That is the clear message that you want to get across that also tells people the value or benefit that you're going to provide and to whom. And from that, you can build out a table of contents. A TOC is a table of contents. You are going to develop a unique angle based on an evaluation of your idea. So I know a lot of you have already started your books, but I really, really recommend that you go back and you create a business plan for your book, which is going to allow you to evaluate if your book targets the market, gives them what they need and want, and is also, unique and necessary in the category where it's going to exist. That's how you create a marketable book, a book that will sell, which means it gets read. If you need information on this, you can read my book, The Author Training Manual. But you also want to evaluate whether you have focused the book on fulfilling your purpose and the book's purpose, okay? So that has to be your focus if you want to inspire people through your book. And you need to make good on your promises to your readers. So just as I said, I wanted to make good on promises to you today, you're going to make a list of benefits and say, these are my promises. And you're going to carry those out. You're going to fulfill those promises in the text of your book. And you're going to bring your passion, purpose, and authenticity to the page. Very, very important. As I've already said, passion, purpose, authenticity have to come through on the pages of your book. So when you combine your passion with your purpose, you're inspired, and what you take inspired action. And that's when you're going to get the inspired results you want with your book. When you feel inspired, you're going to know what action to take to write the book, to create community, to angle the book. You're going to achieve those inspired results because readers are going to feel your passion and inspiration. They're going to get inspired to take action. And so that's when your book is going to be selling and people are going to be taking action in the world. They're going to be doing the change you've inspired. So you have to create a business plan, like I said. Yes, you're combining your passion and purpose and becoming inspired and trying to get that out to the readers as well. But you have to do that with a good business sense as well, or you won't have a book that's marketable. So you have to evaluate both yourself and your idea for success. So I talked about step one, that you have to change first. So this is where you have to evaluate yourself to see if you have the ability to be a successful author and a successful leader of your movement. But you also have to evaluate your idea to see if it is marketable. And again, the author training manual is, as it says, a comprehensive guide to writing books that sell. If your book doesn't sell, it's not going to inspire change. So I want you to do the business planning aspect so that you can make sure that you have a marketable book idea. And the author training manual takes you through all of those steps. You need to see yourself and your idea through the lens of an agent or an acquisitions editor. I know most of you said you want to self-publish, but you become then the acquisitions editor, the person who is buying the manuscript for the book, and saying, yes, this is marketable. You have to determine if it's something that will sell. And you have to decide if you're a good business person who can do the promotion and marketing and be a leader and all of that. Very important. Then you need to determine how you and your idea need to change to succeed. So you go through this business planning process, and that's where you then change the focus of your book or the angle of your book if necessary to make sure that it meets the needs of your market and is unique and necessary in the category. And you also are looking at yourself to see how you need to change. When you combine your passion and purpose and inspiration and business and writing skill, you will create a book that inspires change. So you need that passion and purpose, and that's going to get you inspired. But then you need business sense and writing skill. And all together, that is going to help you write a book that inspires change. If your passion and your purpose are expressed via inspired work, and you produce a well-written manuscript, and you write with an authentic voice and take a business approach to your book, you will indeed create a marketable book. And that means it will sell and it will get read, and therefore you can inspire change. Let's talk just a little bit more before I get to the Q&A about how to become an author of change, because most people get stuck in the writing. And I saw that when people filled out my survey. A lot of you get stuck in the actual writing. You're either not writing, or you don't know how to get started, or you get confused and off track. The best writing guide that I can recommend, I talk about it in the author training manual, is to create an overview for your book first, which is that pitch we talked about, or elevator speech, plus a list of benefits, and maybe a paragraph or two that give more information on the book. This would be used in a book proposal or your own business plan. When you have that, you have clarity on your book. Without clarity, you won't write. Out of that overview then comes your table of contents, the structure for the book. Once you have that, you can go a little further and you can do chapter summaries. If it's just for yourself, it can be bulleted points. If you're going to do a book proposal, you'll have to write it out in more detail. But once you have an overview and a table of contents and chapter summaries, you're going to be able to sit down every day and say, okay, I know exactly what to write and I have clarity on my book. Okay, so very important. Write in manageable time periods on a regular basis. Lots of people say they don't have time. Make 15 minutes a day. Before you know it, 15 minutes will be 30, and then 45, and then an hour. Just start with something manageable, but start and do it consistently. And have a deadline. I always say deadlines are my friend. Decide you're going to have this book written in 6 months or by the end of the year. Okay, have a deadline and chunk down your project. Okay, this week I do the overview. Next week I do the table of contents. Then I do the chapter summaries. Then I'm going to produce one chapter every 2 weeks. Mini deadlines will get you where you want to go. Use similar books as models. A lot of people, say they don't know how to get started. They don't know how to structure their book. Go out there and read books that inspire change and make notes on how they've been structured, how the voice that the authors use, the examples they use. Success leaves clues. If those books are inspiring change, you want to model yours on them. And keep that business hat on. I know that you're creative folks who don't want to get into business, but see the business as creativity and as a way to get you where you want to go, which is to fulfill your purpose and potential. Stay inspired. The way to do that is always to remember your purpose. Write out that mission statement and post it on your computer. And that is how you write a change-inspiring book and author change. Now, I think I delivered on my promises, but I would love to know if you all think I delivered on my promises. You said that if I did, that I could take 10 minutes or 5. I'm hoping I can do it in 5 minutes before we get to Q&A. And I will answer all questions. So if you think I delivered on my promises, please write yes in the chat pane. Also, as I'm waiting, please know that in the chat pane, if you toggle over the little down arrow, there is it says Q&A. And you can ask me questions, okay? So I would love to answer your questions. I really adore answering your questions. So please do write your questions in using the Q&A chat pane, or put a bunch of question marks in front of your questions so I see it. I see Roger says yes, Angel says yes, Elizabeth says yes. Okay, absolutely. So I am going to move on then. And I'll do this as fast as I can so I can get to your questions. And please do queue up those questions, okay? What I'd like to talk to you about is an opportunity to become an author of change by joining my Author of Change Transformational Coaching Program. This program helps you author the change you want to see in the world. That is its sole focus. Actually, I want to create a minimum of 500 authors of change by 2020. And this program is a way for me to help do that and to help you become an author of change. During the program, you're going to learn how to inspire change on a larger scale by preparing yourself to become a successful author and change agent, and by creating a community ready to take up your cause, become part of your movement, implement your suggestions, and ultimately buy your book. You're also going to learn how to write and publish an inspiring and marketable book. I will take you through those 3 steps that we talked about today. The Author of Change Transformational Coaching Program, I often call it the ACT coaching program because there are a bunch of action plans in there. And the point is for you to act and for your readers to act. So the ACT coaching program is broken into 3 modules or steps that support your transformation into an author of change. The 3 steps are going to prepare you to become a change agent and to inspire others, your readers, to change as well. And the program is going to teach you to make a positive and meaningful difference in the world with your words. And you wouldn't be here today if that wasn't what you wanted to do. As I mentioned, the program takes you through 3 modules, the 3 ACT coaching modules, which I've already talked about a little bit today. One is to author change in your life. You're going to learn how to master change in yourself so you become a successful author, an inspiring leader, and in others so you help them change. Each module has 2 webinars where I teach and 2 group coaching sessions where all I do is answer your questions, and 4 homework assignments. And those homework assignments get turned into these action plans, these ACT plans. The second module is Author Change in the World. You will discover how to develop an engaged community of like-minded fans ready and willing to take up your cause and purchase your book. Again, 2 webinars, 2 coaching sessions, 4 homework assignments or ACT plans. And the third module, Author of Change Inspiring Book. Find out how to write and publish a marketable book that sells and inspires change, and get that accountability that you want. Because again, we'll have the 2 webinars where I teach, and then the group coaching sessions where you can come and talk about how you were stuck and how you can keep moving forward. Remember, I'm also a certified high performance coach. I can help you over those hurdles. So here are the details very quickly. 6 live webinars, 6 live coaching sessions. Webinars are like this. Teleseminars will be on the phone, and 12 action plans when you're done. We'll be meeting Wednesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, beginning May. So yeah, the webinars are May 10 and 24, June 7 and 21, July 5 and 19. Coaching dates will be May 17th and 31, 14 and 23, July 12 and 26. And I ran this program once before, and I offer it as a home study program, and I charge $147 for that. These are all live. We're going live again. I'm going to be taking the home study off the market, and the live program will be 12 live group sessions with a value of $2,400. Plus, you're going to receive 2 bonuses. You're going to receive my How to Build Engaged Platforms and Communities program. It was a recorded interview with my co-presenter last time, Deborah Levine Herman. She's an agent, and myself, as well as an ebook, which is really a workbook to plan your social media and other platform elements. And I haven't been selling that. I recently started offering it, and the value of that is $37. Plus, this is really big. I'm going to give all of you a free 1-year membership to my Nonfiction Writers University if you enroll. 1 year free. And the value of that is $367. So that's $404 in bonuses. The total value of the program with bonuses then is $2,804, but that's not what you're going to pay. I'm not going to charge you that. I want you to be able to author change. I want to make this affordable for you. So your investment when you join the Author of Change Transformational Coaching Program is only $497. $497, and you get all of those things I mentioned: the webinars, the coaching, the action plans, the Engaged Communities program, and a year's membership in the Nonfiction Writers University. And if you purchase by midnight, April 23rd, you're going to save $50 if you use the coupon code EARLYBIRD on checkout. Okay, so save $50 if you purchase by midnight, April 23rd. Those of you who purchased today, this is an unannounced bonus. I didn't, it's not in my slides, nothing. I have I have some copies of Brendan Burchard's book, Life's Golden Ticket, which is all about second chances and personal growth. And I love it. It's one of my favorite novels. And anyone who signs up today, okay, by midnight today, will get a copy of that book sent to them. Okay, so sent to you by mail. The Author of Change Transformational Coaching Program has only 20 spots, so only 20 people can be enrolled at one time. Registration closes May 7th. I would love it if you would grab your spot now and get in there so that I can be sure that you become an author of change, that I can support you in that process of becoming an author of change this year. So very briefly, and then I'm going to do Q&A. So please do queue up your questions. Why would you want to do this with me? I'm going to just run through these really fast. First of all, I've been there and done it when it comes to publishing. Seriously, I've published every way possible, and I know what it's like to become an author. I am one of only 300 elite certified high performance coaches in the world. So as I said, I know how to help you over the hurdles and challenges and help you fulfill your purpose. I'm the only author coach with a curriculum that actually trains authors. There's also a book and a blog coach, so I understand marketing and promotion and all of that, and social media. I'm passionate about helping writers make a positive and meaningful difference in the world. I hope you got that from today's webinar. Also, I'm an 11-time Amazon best-selling author. I was the first to officially blog a book. Some of my clients have sold over 300,000 copies of their books and built thriving businesses around them, and maybe some of you would like to do the same. I'm a hybrid author. I self-publish and I traditionally publish. I'm a speaker, trainer, blogger, editor, and a journalist. And I'm the founder of the Write Nonfiction in November Challenge, also known as National Nonfiction Writing Month, and the Nonfiction Writers University. Plus, I've been involved with the San Francisco Writing for Change Conference for about 10 years. And I actually was the primary speaker, the first speaker last year for a whole hour. For many years, I've been doing a 10-minute talk at the very beginning of the conference. And last year, I did a whole hour. And I'm just like you. I'm a writer. I am at my desk every day writing. And actually, the books I would like to write and started out to write are all about change. And that's the direction I'm moving in, just like you. But it's not about me. It's about you. You want to write a book that inspires the change you want to see in the world. You want to make a positive and meaningful difference with your words. You want to author change. You want to have impact. The Author of Change Transformational Coaching Program is going to give you the opportunity to realize your dreams of making a difference, of having that positive impact in the world. It's going to help you achieve your potential and fulfill your purpose as a writer and as a person. I really believe that the world needs authors of change right now. It's time for you to leave your mark on the world. Become an author of change. So I'm going to leave this up. I would love for you to become an author of change. I really do believe the world needs change agents. I would love to teach you how to author the change you want to see in the world. If somebody could let me know if you see the offer, it's in the chat pane. It should say register early and save, but I will also type in here, and then I'm going to go right to questions. I see Jan has a question. I hope some other people will put some questions up. The link for the program is ninaamir.com/ACT live. You should be able to just click on that link and use early bird as on the checkout to get that $50 off. But I hope you can actually see the offer there as well in the chat pane. I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to load it again. I don't know if that makes any difference, but hopefully you can see it. Okay. Oh, Jan says, yes, I see the offer. Thank you, Jan. Okay, so Jan, I'm going to answer your question. I hope some other people will put some questions in here so that I can answer your questions. We have a little bit of time, and I will answer them. So Jan says, what percentage of your platform should be social media? Typically people say the majority of it. But there are some people who their major platform is their email list or their blog. Or I've heard some agents recently say that if you don't have a platform, but you're writing for publications about your topic, then that's enough. The bigger the publishing house you want to go with, the larger your platform needs to be. And then I would say social media needs to be a pretty large part of that platform. But again, if you're speaking before thousands of people, or you have a 50,000 people on a mailing list, then social media is going to be less important. So I hope that answers your question, Jan. It's not really a percentage, and if you're going to self-publish, by the way, those of you who want to self-publish, the percentage probably needs to be quite large, unless you have one of these other very large, are really a large percentage in a different area, because self-published authors are not going to be in bookstores for the most part. They are not going to get any help from publishers, and no, publishers don't do a lot to help promote, but they do some. And so I would say be sure that you're really building your platform, and that social media is at least 50% of that if you want to succeed. All right, other questions? Not seeing any. I'm happy to answer another couple questions, or we'll call it a day. Any other questions? Well, while I'm waiting to see if there are any other questions, I want to, Jan says, yes, it helped. Good, Jan, I'm glad. I want to, again, encourage you to author the change you want to see in the world and write that transformational book. Don't wait. Do it now. The world needs you. I hope you will register for my program and take advantage of the early bird coupon code and save that money and get your free book by registering today. Those of you listening to the replay of this, the free book is only available if you register today. So I wish you were here live, but I will extend that only until tonight, April 21st, Friday, April 21st at midnight. Anyone who registers by then gets the free book by Brendan Bouchard, Life's Golden Ticket, along with the other bonuses. So I don't see any other questions, although I know there are a bunch of you still on the line. So since there are no more questions, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. And that challenge is to become an author of change. Write a book that inspires the change you want to see in the world. And with that, I'm going to just wish you much, much luck. Go out there and achieve more inspired results by becoming an author of change. Thank you all for being here today.